Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the House of Commons. I'm Damola, and to my left,
Enyi Osuji, House of Commons.
Maya Siobhan, House of Commons.
Cheers.
House of Commons, go.
You smile to keep from crying.
Yeah, say that again.
Because I really did not want to do this topic, because the truth is there's nothing that has not been said already about all the stuff going on. But if you've been on social media, if you've been on Earth in the past 2 weeks,
At least, yeah.
2 years, 100 years, 500 years, you would see a trend of stories about police brutality and the basically elimination of black men in the United States of America. It's a big focus right now, and I didn't even know where to start, because this potent trend started Trayvon, right? It was about 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
as far as the internet age of these stories, and kind of kept on.
Because Oscar Grant was before that, but
it was.
Yeah, but that brought light to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, what do you think? What do you think about this trend? What do you think about social media's role in this trend? What is your experience as a black man, black woman in America? What do you? What's on your mind?
My mind? Your mind?
I mean, there's so much to say. It's just really hard to watch. I haven't really been, to be quite honest with you, I really haven't really been on social media too much. Because it's difficult to watch repeatedly over and over again. So I just can't do that. But I definitely am aware of everything that's been going on. Been aware of everything that's been going on. So I've been living in California off and on for many years. I was actually here during the Rodney King riots, and I remember when that happened as well as a kid. And it's just, when you come to understand that this is something that's been going on since forever, you know, this is something that's been happening, and this is something that continues to happen. And we've been fortunate to have the internet age where we can actually share, and people actually able to see information and things that are not televised. But these are the things that have been happening. You know, I live in the Bay Area, and when you talk to people in the Bay Area, talk to people that live in Sacramento area, they all have had all these similar stories for years. This is nothing new. We've all have heard these stories. And it's just really, really unfortunate, because you start to, just to introduce, you start to wonder, what can you do? Is there anything that you can do? You know, you look at yourself, and you look at yourself, it's almost like a split screen of yourself and other people, and you realize that you can be them as easily as they can be you. You know, it's just about chance and opportunity. So I don't know, it's something to reflect on, and it's difficult to watch, because obviously you want things to be better on all fronts. You know, I want it to be harmonious, but you know, the truth is, you know, certain people feel a certain way, and then at the same time, I gotta respect that as well. You know, but it doesn't mean that we can suffer this kind of injustices. But anyways, that's kind of like the beginning of what I have to say.
I too, it's hard to watch. Unfortunately, I watched it on accident, and you know, I try not to feed into the social media display of it, because it's so much. You know, it's a gift and a curse, I think. I'll go into it later about how I feel about that specific part of it. But having watched it the first thing in the morning kind of set the tone for me. And I'm usually a bright person, but I can honestly say, it hit somewhere. You know, it hit an artery, and usually I kind of bounce things off of me. But it really, I think, watching the son of the guy that was shot in the head, that, me having a son, just it spoke to me. I felt his pain, on top of all the stories I've heard my entire life, you know, on how we're treated while black woman, black man, just while black. Now, to piggyback off of Enyi saying, what can we do? I think everybody thinks that. I feel like individually we can take each person that we know, and share in the story, because I feel like when you get it out your system, then you can begin to heal from it, and then you can start to see things more clearer. Speak to your young brothers and sisters about things. I didn't grow up in the 60s, I didn't grow up in the 70s really, but I remember hearing stories from my cousins and how my parents, marched on Washington, and how they confided in each other, and we held like a great front then. So during schools, and everyone had like, powwows in the yard and stuff like that. So it was unity, so I feel like if each person can take a page out of our foreparent, or people, not too far in the past on what they did. I feel like we're the children of that generation, and some grandchildren of that generation. And I feel like those things we can do. We can understand what law is and how it works. In talking to my mother during the situation, me having, a brother and a son and things of that nature, we talked about how we approach the police, or when the police approach us, and what to do and how to act. Having police officer friends and things of that nature, like being on both ends of the spectrum, there's definitely a communication breakdown on top of hatred and everything else. But I feel like if we can share with each other like a real story, and dig in and find the hurts, and talk to those who are ignorant, and see the police and act ignorant, because we do act ignorant in a way. I'm not saying all of us do, but there's a portion of us that don't understand how to conduct ourselves. I can go on and on, but that's kind of just where I'll take the piece of this pie and and chew it down.
Well, I think this is pretty much somewhat a reputation of slavery in a way. The white supremacy wasn't built for equality, even though that's the message that's been conveyed all through the implementation of the laws. But the sad part of it is this is never going to go away until we use our black superior aspect of our lives and really stand up for ourselves. The sad part about this whole thing is when it happens is, I know that it's difficult sometimes for some black cops to be able to stand for their own, because you only have so much power, but it'll also make a difference if those that are black cops are actually also doing things to make a difference. And I'm not saying that we have black cops that are acting towards this or doing this, but there have been cases whereby I feel like they themselves also contribute to the problem. They themselves treat their own people no better than the white man is. So if you are treating your own the way they're not supposed to be treated, how can we expect others to treat us different? So we have to come together, we have to stand together, we have to do things differently. We have to have this mindset of no separation regardless of what type of black you are. And I think we still continue to live in this mindset of, oh, I'm African, or I'm African American, or I'm from the Caribbean, or I'm this. We're all black. At the end of the day, when I get pulled over, I get asked the same stupid questions that you get asked. I remember there was a time I was pulled over and the police asked me, is there any reason for me to search your car? And that reason being because I'm driving a luxury car. And to me, it's like there is no differentiation. So we can sit here and debate that, oh, maybe this person might get treated differently or this person might get treated differently, but at the end of the day, we're all getting the same treatment. Some of us might think that that's not the case, but that is the case. So until we start working together, fighting for ourselves, thinking of each other, and just leaving out the mindset of the separation aspect that the whole colonization have done to us, then maybe there might be a change in our situation. You know, and we have to take actions. We can't just keep saying Black Lives Matter, but we're not doing anything about Black lives. We have a bunch of black people who have power, who can make a change. I know that it's not easy. It's easier said than done, but I think a lot can be done in those who are up there. No, but I don't think that some are taking actions, but I don't think enough people are taking actions. When is it going to stop? It's a good question, because from the way I see it, I just feel like it's going to get worse and worse and worse. But the question we need to ask is, why is it that the black life is the only life that's been treated this way in America? We don't see any other race or any other color being treated this way. We have to ask ourselves, what is it that we're doing to ourselves? What is it that we're doing to our own community? How are we treating ourselves for us to be having this kind of treatment? You know, it's at some point we have to ask ourselves these questions and see how we can come up with a solution to help us, because no one is going to help us if we don't help each other. Yeah.
That's good.
As far as police brutality, I've been pulled over by the police once.
Oh wow, good job.
No, for real. In Burbank, in Burbank, California, they do definitely have a reputation for kind of being, kind of giving a different kind of treatment to black and brown brothers, I guess you could say. It's known. If you live in Los Angeles, California, you go to Burbank, it's kind of known that that's the reputation because there's some big studios there. Paramount, Disney, there's a lot of money there, so they definitely make sure that there's a certain quality of life that lives there and also visits that place. But all I remember was he was a maybe 60-year-old Caucasian gentleman. Pulls me over, says my tail lights. He was a motorcycle cop. Apparently those are the worst. Pulls me over and says, you know, your tail lights are out. I'm like, okay. The worst thing that I could have done was forget my license at home. Bad day. He has his helmet on and there are cars passing by. And he says, where's your ID? I'm like, unfortunately, I left this at home. And he starts yelling. He's like, you know I can't hear you. And in my mind I'm thinking, you have the helmet on. You are in traffic. I don't know why you are surprised that you can't hear me. But I am not going to... I'm not even going to move, right? So I kind of shouted out, I left my ID at home. And he goes, I can take you to jail to prove your identity and blah, blah, blah. And in my mind, I swear to God, all I was thinking about was my grandmother. And you did not... this moment shall come to pass. So just chill. These are not the stories you want to tell your grandkids. So just, this guy's probably having a bad day. His job probably sucks. He probably looks at me as maybe a threat. I don't know. And you never know if, maybe he has had a bad experience with a black person before. I don't know. A lot of people say that police forces have a lot of biased members in them. I cannot say I can prove that yay or nay. It is a common discussion. Based on the things that we're seeing these days, it looks as if that is the fact. I always try to go back to the logistics and the economics of things. I think when you understand why people are born and why people die, economically, you will understand why this is kind of going on at this time. As I've said in previous episodes, when the top of the pyramid starts feeling financial pressure, the bottom gets it the worst. And based on history, based on facts, the bottom of the pyramid in this country is, certain people have been placed in there. And it's basically black people have been placed at the bottom. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, and I really want to ask you guys these questions, I know the trend currently is police brutality against black men in the United States of America. And I constantly hear the white man, the white man. I'm not trying to start any race wars, but sometimes when I hear that often, I'm just hoping it's because of the trend in the news right now. But from your perspective, have you encountered other races other than the white man? And if you have, what is your perspective of you?
As a black person.
As a black person.
And like authoritative versus submissive,
paint scenarios. You walk into a room full of people from India.
That's a good question.
What do they see you as?
Well, I'll jump on that. I think honestly, it depends on that specific group of Indian people.
Okay, let's say 100.
You know what I mean?
Out of 100, all of them.
I think so I've walked in a room of Asian people, in Koreatown, whatever, because I eat different food. And there's a portion that looks up and looks down. They don't, they're not phased. Then there's like a maybe older generation or like kind of, you could tell someone that thinks in a separatism kind of way. They look and they're like, you get that kind of like, why are you here eyes? Or you get the, is she with a rapper? You know what I mean? I think that's just what I'm feeling because of the looks. like I said, it depends on the room, but for the most part, I mean, I'm treated pretty cool. You know, like it's non-threatening. It's a pretty cool environment. Certain, you know, Indian room, I think it depends on how traditional they are. Because if they're really traditional, then it's like get out.
When you say old school, did you want to say something?
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want you to say something because again, I'm trying to prove a point by, you know, giving the opportunity to literally put things in the forefront.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Again, a lot of times when we're talking about racial tension, right? I constantly hear the white man.
Because they're the ones in power. When you have power, then that's what that is.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. So, now my question, just to kind of give an underlying blanket statement. You live in the Bay, right?
Yeah. Oh Lord.
You walk into a room. Again, not trying to cause any race wars. But you walk into a room full of Chinese people.
Where?
See, that's what all those factors matter.
Every room you've walked into that has had Chinese people in it. I really want you to, I'm just being honest.
Because if you're in China, I don't know if you're going to walk in that room. But
you walk into a room, how you perceive.
Oh, it's a Negro.
I don't mean to laugh, but the reason why I'm doing this is
because that's what actually what you get. It's not really it's not really the NIGG one. It's a Negro. Yeah. Some of them is the other one, but a lot of them is it's a Negro.
The reason why I want to
walked in.
No, for real. The reason why I'm asking this question is because I've said this before. The only race that is unique to its color is us.
Yeah.
And the fact that when they market or what the society has painted is black, failure, poverty, hunger, violent, hyperactive, bad. No matter where you walk into, right? Anybody, because a Hispanic gentleman from El Salvador can walk into a Chinese restaurant with Chinese people in it, and they're still curious. They don't know exactly what it is.
They may think he might be, you know.
He walks into a room, exactly.
Yeah.
An Indian guy walks into a room of Germans.
Yeah.
They're not too sure.
Yeah. They don't
but
know.
no matter where you are, as long as there's a ton of melanin in your skin, the first thing you are is black. And the first thing that most people know are the stories they've heard about you. Yeah. Just like
you don't get a clean slate. As a black man, you don't get a clean slate.
Like I said, it depends on where you are because it depends on the room, which is why I said old-fashioned versus, I mean, take an old Southern, you walk into a room of old Southern black people and you're a mulatto. You're going to be treated as, what's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? If you walk in the same room and you're Asian, they're old school. They're thinking like, who you done brought to the party? You know what I mean?
I just think that, of course, the energy of the room changes, regardless of what room it is. Stares are always going to, of course, people are going to look at you. I was at the airport, LAX, this Indian couple came and sat next to me. I had my hair done. I knew they were talking about me. I didn't understand exactly what they were saying, but they kept staring at me, looking up and down, and I was almost on the verge of saying, do you have a problem? Because I was sitting here by myself, and you came and sat right next to me. You could have sat anywhere else. So it's like they try to read you based on what, of course, they've heard. And then it's like, are we really like supposed to be sitting next to them? Is she really like good enough to?
Yeah, it's actually a compliment that they sat next to you.
True. Especially if they were like,
it's like, well, I didn't ask you to sit next to you. You know, and I almost felt like saying that because I was getting to the point of being so irritated because the guy, the husband stood up, the wife sat, they both sat, and then the husband stood up and he kind of walked away, came back. It's like, I'm really sure if we're supposed to see her because she's sitting here or whatever the case is. So it's like the analyzation that they have of you, it's always negative, nothing positive, regardless of what they've heard of, regardless of what they've seen. So to me, it's like the energy.
I think it's where that person or persons have been. You know, like it's not my fault that you are still stuck in the whatever century. You know what I'm saying? Or the way society is now, I mean, we are more mixed up than we have ever been in life. So you don't know who is what. And if black is black, I understand what you're saying as far as you could see a black person and they're Cuban. You see what I'm saying? So we're so mixed up nowadays that the ignorance is, that's a black man that's going to come and shoot me and do whatever, which is why I said it depends on the room that you're in. Because in Germany, the parts of Germany that I was in, it was not like that. It was very much so, oh my God, you know what I'm saying?
Can I say
so
something?
I
agree with you, but I would just say I also disagree at the same time. This is why I disagree. I disagree because it's always going to be color first. And the reason why, I'll give you a perfect example. And this is an area where it's mixed and it's suburban. It's nothing. There's no real danger. This area, you don't need to look around over your shoulder about anything. You're fine. Mm-hmm. I literally dropped something on the floor, and looking on the floor, I have basketball shorts on and a t-shirt. So, young black male, t-shirt, basketball shorts. This Filipino lady is walking by. She starts running. She runs into the store. She runs away from me into the store.
Oh God.
So I'm going into. She's going into the liquor store. I'm going into the Subway. When I come out, I'm like, oh, let me go get a juice. I go back into the liquor store. The lady the girl at the liquor store is like, that lady thought that you were trying to rob her. And I'm like, wow. All I was doing was trying to, so it's always, to me, going to be color first, because no matter what, that is attached to you. We don't ever have a clean slate, no matter what situation we're in. We always have to prove that we're not them. We always have to prove that sometimes.
That's not our fault. That's our ignorance.
The only difference now these days is that it's not that we know that they can be this too. They're this too. This is also this too. They've been this too. That's the only thing. Those are the only difference I see today.
I'm going to ask the question because you said, and we're going to get to the main topic, but I want to make sure I say something before we go deep, right? You mentioned they are old school. Is it that they are old school, or the older people get, the more distant the more serious their life becomes, the more distant they get from black? So, I'm just being honest. It's a real question. So let's say you were born here as a, Asian Chinese person in San Francisco. You were born here. You're exposed to as much as you went to school. You did all these stuff. You're familiar with blacks, Mexicans, Italians, whatever. You start, raising kids. You have a family. You have a house, right? You're 45. A young black boy walks into the restaurant. Keep in mind, you're American. You're not from the old school. Mm-hmm. Is your perspective, oh, he's just a young black boy? Or is it almost exactly what the school before you thought of that kid who walked in?
That's very, very, it's broad because it depends on the person.
Is it?
You can't know because...
Is it though? Because I'm a black man.
Let me tell you why.
Okay, can I ask you a question real quick before you answer that question? What's your knee-jerk reaction? Without thinking. Your knee-jerk reaction.
My knee-jerk. I like how you said that. What's my knee-jerk reaction?
When you hear what he just said, what's your knee-jerk reaction without thinking too much?
Okay. I'm not thinking anything. I'm not thinking, oh, it's a black man. This is, given the situation that you said, it has everything to do with the person. You can't say like a person that has been in Arkansas their whole life and all they know is colored. They know colored. They don't even know Negro. They don't know nigga. They know colored. Okay? And they come out of the sticks. That's all that they know and that's all that they see. So when you go to the big city, that's the mentality you're gonna bring. So you can't say that a person that has been, in school with different races is gonna see a black man and say, oh, he's gonna come rob me. You can't say that.
I didn't say anything about come rob. I said nothing like that.
But I'm saying anything negative because if once you touch certain corners of this world, you open up. You should, right? Now if you stay within that, let's say you're, a privileged, let's say you're a privileged African American person and you've had this silver spoon your whole life and you don't know separatism and, oh God, I'm black and this and that until you go into the real world because now the smoke is gone. Now you need to go out into the world and then you're like, oh my God, I'm treated differently because I'm that.
Statistic.
Because you don't know.
Statistic. The millennials are just as racist as their parents and their grandparents. Equally as racist.
I mean, I think it's... I think it's...
Everybody's just as racist as they were 40 years ago.
I mean, I can only go off of those that I've seen. And I had lunch. I had sushi last night with 7 of the most whitest people that I've ever seen. Right? No. And And
No,
really, and I was invited by a composer doing something who invited me to the thing, and I'm sitting there and I'm having a conversation, and it just opens up, and it's like, oh, we talk. I'm a woman, so it's a little bit less threatening. I'm on Sunset Boulevard, mind you, like not, some like other like spot.
Right.
One of the guys even offered. He was like, oh no, like I'll get your food, like I'm happy you're here. I hear you're great. You see what I'm saying? So it depends.
You're doing something.
It's true, but it depends. It's so many different
There's value to you.
There is value to you, and there is an opportunity for them to make something of you.
But they can still be just ignorant and just be like, "Why did you?
Okay.
You didn't tell me she was black." In a way, because they didn't have to say anything to me.
All right.
I was just gonna piggyback on your point that you made, though, in terms of someone being from what was the state that you used?
Arkansas.
Right, and they're like country, but they're still black.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think their perspective of another black person working into the room will be different, will be the same as a group of white people, or a group of Asian, or a group of Spanish. They actually will be embracing that black person completely different than the other race will be. So it wouldn't be in a negative connotation, if you get my point.
If I can add to what you're saying, right? The reason why I brought up these questions, right, is because of from what I've seen, right? I think because of the constant pounding of racial tension in America versus between white and black, from what I've seen more white people try to understand the black struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear about racial tension, I keep hearing us against white people, right? Mm-hmm. But when I experience life,
it's not even just white.
The people who seem to want me gone the most is not who we keep talking about from what I see.
Because they have the most power. That's the only reason.
They have the most power of what?
The world. I mean, white people carry, when it comes to media, all those different outlets, they are the force in it. So any direction that they go in, and this sounds really racist and really separate, but, how many, black people own a TV station? Mm-hmm. How many black people own a radio station? Mm-hmm. Those outlets, who owns Facebook? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Who you feel what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that tone is what they're going to set. Who owns Fox? Mm-hmm. Who has,
which I totally understand.
So that's the just like if you go to the Middle East, who owns that? So that's what you hear, They preach Islam and they preach, So of course, the people, that's what we're going to hear, and they're going to digest. So quite naturally, it's going to be black and white because that's what it's been. But I totally hear what you're saying. Between the Mexicans here and the blacks here, like it's.
I'm talking about vile disgust.
I totally get it. But the only reason why they have that information is because of that mothership feeding them all that negativity. Mm-hmm. So they don't get it until they
Which I totally understand, right? Another reason why I brought this up is because of that knee-jerk reaction he spoke about. Mm-hmm. Because I posted it on Facebook, right? Everyone, after, as these things keep going on, we all look for someone to point to.
The big bad woman.
Point at,
that's what I call it, yeah.
So I asked a question on Facebook. I said, you're not white, right? You're not black. You're a non-black person, and you have a daughter. You're a non-black man, and you have a daughter. She's 16 years old. She comes home one day. This is your daughter that you love, your first daughter. You love her a lot. You know where this is going. You love her a lot.
Been on the street with
now
you.
Keep in mind, you're the most open-minded person ever. Your daughter walks home. You've been hearing about this boyfriend that your daughter has. You're like, oh my God.
Walk in the door. It's all different.
And Dante walks in.
Dante!
I'm not gonna. Dante walks in. This is what I asked on Facebook specifically. Right? This is what I asked specifically on Facebook. Dante walks in. Dante is 17. Okay. Right? The first thing I want to know is, how fast is your heart beating? Oh. As soon as you see Dante, it's the truth, right? Mm-hmm. Secondly, what is going on in your mind, right? And then, would it be the same if he was not black, right? Now that's one question.
That's very true.
Then you're a non-black woman. You have a son that you love a lot. You wish him the best. You want him to go to the best schools. He comes home with a black girl. The reason why I'm asking these questions is because there's a value in black. We know how the world sees that value. it is no surprise that these police officers are acting against that value. Because we can all point and say, why are these cops doing this? But we ask these simple questions like, what goes on in your mind when you see black? What goes on in your mind when you see... We all know what the real answer is. So it should be no surprise that people that are given power in times of desperation are acting this way. It's no surprise.
You know what it is? I think to me, you're right. It's no surprise, but I think the blatant, you know, like, I always go back to the 60s and when they were spraying us with hoses and sicking dogs on us. The only reason why it was even put in the forefront is because of marches and Martin Luther King and all of those freedom fighters and the NAACP making it news, because it was happening way before, but it didn't hit home until it was on TV. So now the world that's at home, you know, with their TV dinners, and Susie and Molly and the crew, Molly crew, not funny. They're looking at the black and white TV and they're like, oh my God, they're sicking a dog on this young girl, or so it became news, and then now it's like, oh, we have to do something because of the tone and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So I
since you mentioned dogs, sorry.
Can I finish my tangent? So in my mind, when I see, you know, like I said, I saw them shoot him on the thing. I literally, my brain went split screen, and I remembered watching, you know, somebody getting hosed, and then and literally my brain did that, and I said, wow, what's the difference? And I immediately went to the movement. It was an actual movement. Granted, they still see the same black man, same black woman, black child, you know, but the only difference is the movement. Still the same tone, but the fact that it's so blatant now. Because before it was, okay, all the Negroes are in check. We have affirmative action and all these different things, and they've acquired some things, and now they're in a little position somewhere. So now it's like, oh, no. They're together, right? But then, boom, no. It's actually coming to the forefront now. That's the blatancy of it is what really, 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 like, vexes my soul, like, terribly. Like, when I see it constantly in different parts of the world, in different things, it's like, really?
Do you think there is a reason why they're constantly showing it?
Of course. But they did the same thing then. And they really didn't have anything to watch.
Why do you think they are constantly showing it?
I mean, I think they're constantly showing it for a lot of reasons. I think they definitely want us to separate. I think they want it to be a race thing. They want it to be black and white. They want it to be a definition. So now we can, you know, set whatever the big agenda is. And I won't go there. But I don't think it's to help. Let's say that. I don't think it's to create any kind of, you know, unity at all. I really don't.
I mean, I think that the continuous negativity effect of, you know, advertisement or whatever it is that's going on that they're showing, I think actually, I would think the goal would be, of course, to make things worse between us as a community.
Yeah.
How do I even put this? To me, it's like, all right, we're going to continue to do this. They already hate each other to some extent. We already have our notions of, in terms of colorism, whether you're wherever part of whatever black you consider yourself. Now we have issues within ourselves, because sometimes if someone is light black, we have issue with that light black versus the black. So it's like there are so many issues that are going on within our own community that we haven't really fixed yet. So now let's add violence to it. Let's continue to just damage their life as best as we can and take the focus off of what they're trying to build, because we've come a long way. We're still in a process of getting there. We haven't got there completely. So in the process of trying to get there, in the process of trying to do better, they feel like, okay, we can't let them get there. Because Obama became president, that changed the atmosphere a bit, the environment changed a little bit. It didn't change much, but it made a change. Not too many white people were happy with that. There was a good majority of them that weren't happy with that. So to me, it's like, let's take the focus of the progression. Let's continue to damage your community. Let's continue to create self-hatred within them. Let's continue to just give them a negative effect of what their community is. So this will take focus over anything that they are trying to do that will progress their community. This will take away the unity that they're trying to create among each other. This will take away the focus of building their own community. It's that whole, it's like, it's pretty much a strategy that they're using indirectly, and is it working to some effect?
Yeah.
Yes, And until, like I always say this, we are only going to be the saviors of our own lives. There is no race to give a damn about us. Some care, but that percentage that cares is not a large percentage. I will stand and be like, okay, Black Lives Matter in America until Black people themselves all come together. We can't be separated. We all have to be on the same page. It's funny. I was reading the comments on Jesse's speech. I was so disgusted by the focus that some people took away from that speech. Instead of focusing on the message that he was conveying, most of them were so focused on he's a light-skinned Black man. What does that have to do with anything? This is the whole colorism I'm talking about.
Can I say something though?
That it does have a lot.
Okay. At the end of the day, at least he's standing for Black people.
He's using his platform.
He's using, at least.
I'm not talking against him.
Right.
And he checks himself on it
And my
too,
problem is we have a lot of blacks in that same platform that are not doing anything.
Nope. Because they're paid.
Do you know that it might be because they are black?
No.
And they're bought and paid.
LD, there's some Black people that do have some sort of power that can make a change. They can, but some don't, because they keep thinking about self. It's all about me. I don't care what is happening in the Black community. As long as I'm fine, I'm good. Forget them. And there are some that think that way.
I have a foundation, or they try to do little stuff and think that that's.
And yes, we can say, okay, his mother is white, the father is Black, his father married a white woman. We can analyze it all that way. But for me, it's like, the focus for me was the message he's conveying. At least he stood up. I can't remember the last time any Black person got on that stage and gave a speech like that on BET, for one, right?
I just think that, you know, the Black community, in quote, is really damaged, and from the bottom to the top, from the top to the bottom.
That's so sad.
And because we're not a monolith. And it's a good thing, and it's also kind of a bad thing at the same time. It's a great thing, but the differences that we have divide us too much, and our ideals are too different. And this person's going this way, this person's going this way, and you know we always talk about the whole unifying thing, but I really think that's really important. It's the cliche thing we always talk about, coming together, but it's really going to take that to happen. It's going to be small steps. But it's going to take that to happen. I'm aware of the fact that when we've tried to unify and do things, it gets shut down. It gets attacked. I understand that, but there are other strategies that we can employ that can help us get ourselves together as a community. So, also I want to add that I just want everybody to understand that a lot of mainstream white America, and this is not everybody, this is, to me, I think if you ask a lot of people innately inside, they're not going to say it out loud, but a lot of these, especially these racist people, they know what equality looks like. We all know what equality looks like. They do not want that. Nope. That is not on their agenda. They're not trying to do all of that. We're already competing to compete with them. So you're competing amongst each other to compete with them that you can't even compete with, because once you get to a certain space, they're going to be like, no more. It's good. So I think our focus should switch on how can we as a group, as a community, what brings us together. We have things that brought us together. So that's just and then lastly, me and LD talk about this all the time. The idea that somebody that lives in the Hamptons versus somebody that lives in Bed-Stuy is, if I'm black, I'm black. There's no difference. The elite, the affluent, the lower middle class, low class, homeless, you are all black. When you walk into a liquor store, it doesn't matter what, you can have the flyest pea coat on from Brooks Brothers, I don't care what you got on. Is your skin black? You know, I don't walk. He just asked me if I walk. I remember walking walking to San Francisco, walking to a Chinese restaurant, kind of plush, kind of nice. The entire restaurant, they just have to look.
Yeah, it's like,
but
you got to.
You know, the thing is,
you know what I'm saying? There's no clean slate ever.
And to be quite honest, I don't know if this is an ego thing. I'll say something. One major thing that I'll say, and we'll get back to the point about the police brutality. But when I reconnected with my father, I did not feel any eyes on me, right? And when I did, it was a compliment that they were shocked. Because if a lion walks by you, you are not going to hug it.
No.
If that's what you see me as, that's cool.
That's cool.
Right.
Because it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think it's because we are so powerful, and I think that's
amazing.
what intimidates them so much.
Yeah.
We have
We're always
there is
like that.
so
Always come
much
back.
within us that they
Like-
can't have.
Wow.
That they try to
Ever.
be like us. They have pretty much stolen everything that was created
We
was created
still
with a
coming.
black mindset. I mean, with a black talent to it. So it's like with that creativity, with that power that we have. It scares them. If we were to take over America, white people will literally. I don't even know what some of them will do to themselves.
Can I say something really quickly? Just really quickly. I just want to one quick little thing. I just saw a video with Mark Lamont Hill arguing with the New York City police chief. The New York City police chief said that black people are prone to criminal activity. So, this is what he said this on national television. Everybody saw this. A New York City police chief said that black people, like he read it off a sheet. This isn't like, okay, we're just saying it to talk. This is like, they went to go do research and sat down and said, this is what we came up with as black people, just like that. So I just want to paint the picture that no matter what, this is just how you're viewed. This is just your automatic template slate come with is that. You know. This and to say it so smoothly on national television without even thinking about it, you know. So, and that's where we're at. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand that. And it takes these conversations for us to really talk about how we really feel and what's really going on, because, you know, we're not really discussing anything. We're just kind of walking. We walk someplace, you see somebody, and it's kind of that awkward thing because there just was a shooting or something like that, or this person, you know. Even when Obama got elected, it's like, you know,
You were
it's like, you know,
at the airport, like I ain't trying to do nothing.
No, it's like, let me
But there was an incident where churches were burned down.
You see?
Destruction.
Oh, yeah, they started shooting.
There was a lot that happened when he was elected.
I will say this too, just hearing what you're saying, and I understand, you know, you walk in the room, you're black no matter what. The sad thing is, you walk into a room of privileged African Americans,
Oh God.
and you're dressed a certain way. You're looked at the same way.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is
I'll say something
as a woman, it's as a woman, it's less, you know. But as a black man, you walk into an establishment of food, and I actually have experienced this in Atlanta, which is not one of my favorite, you know, cities at all, because I cannot stand privileged black people. It drives me crazy. Okay, walk into a restaurant. And we were a little turned up. Fine. I was young. Fine. We're drinking, whatever. Like, that's what we're doing. And, you know, it was like, you know, just very cold and, like, disconnected. And it almost seemed like they looked like we were going to rob the place, you know? And I said, wow, like, what if, you know, the brothers come in from playing basketball, right? Let's just say they want to have something good to eat that night, you know? And they come in basketball shorts. And that same group of people, I don't think they feel threatened per se, but they're looking like, give me my purse. You know, it's and to me that hurts deeper than the Asian room or the white room.
Can I connect that to police killing black men?
Please do.
Because, again, whenever these things come up, we jump. And one thing I've got to say is, I sympathize with the families that are losing people. I sympathize with my black people who are losing people. I sympathize with humanity that this is what we've become. Not only, you know, a black man, but somebody's blowing up 50 people. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
But I have to get off social media, Instagram and Facebook, because it has now become joyous to hashtag things.
What's up,
like,
bro?
The likes that come with the hashtag has become exciting. There are people who cannot. There are people like me and you who cannot wait for these things to happen so they can get clicks on their YouTube. You know, because it's just the truth. Because, you know, they know when things like this happen, they have a platform to talk again. We're missing the actual point. But the reason why I want to connect what you just said to this police killing black men. A lady posted a video of some kids rapping about basketball, right? Some young black kids, probably like 5 years old. They're talking about shooting, right? Shooting the ball, right? But they're using references of hip hop. So it's basically sounds like they're talking about guns. Now, there's definitely a negative to that, right? Horrible. But when you read the comments, if you put the song on mute, right, and you could not hear what they're saying, and you just see black kids dancing, if you read the comments from black people, right, why they dress like this? Boom, 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 boom. What I don't understand is when that culture gets taken by someone else, then it is, oh my God, they're stealing our culture. Why do you do that? When you had it, you did not want it. You know, so it's.
I think we just critique. We critique each other.
It's too much.
To like a.
I was told by somebody who does SEOs, the most volatile sections of the internet: video gaming, chat rooms, and Black Twitter. It's so. Again,
because we always have something to say about something.
But the reason why this is important for us to discuss is because she just mentioned, if inside the house is divided, it's easy to walk in
for sure
and destroy it more.
For sure. Or take it.
I do not want to take attention off the fact that this trend is happening, right? But the only thing that you can sit back and think is, how do we overcome this? The only way you can really do that is unity. There's really no other way. The only thing that I worry about, and it could be because there are things set up for us to constantly fail, is your dad said this. In 1970 it was the same thing. There was a big movement. In 1980, the same thing. In the 90s, the same thing. 2000s, the same thing. 2010s, the same thing. I'm not even going to talk about, I know you get mad when I say this, I'm going to say Nigeria. Because you just mentioned the affluent, you just mentioned the African American. We know about classes, right? And I'm just being honest. Because in order for us to overcome anything, it sounds very cliche, but we actually have to work together. And the reason why it's important for us to do that is because we are the only black. So you have no choice. And I always say this, and I had to learn this myself, because growing up as a Nigerian, you know, there is classism, which is 100%. And I had a friend in high school, African American in Nigeria, right? He listened to Gucci Man a lot, and I was like, dog, how can you listen to this trash, right? And he's like, I like this, right? He's like, I just like it. This guy's a master's degree holding, he works at, I'm not going to mention the school, very prestigious school in UCLA, in Los Angeles. Very prestigious university. And when he walks into his office, he's Gucci. When he leaves his office, he's Gucci. He does not care, right?
That's good, I like it.
I have to learn why that's important. And I know I've mentioned this a lot on these shows. From what I've seen, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, of all industries, of all professions, of everything I've seen black, the only thing that puts black men in power from A to Z is music and hip hop. That's the only thing I've seen where you basically dictate your worth.
You know why?
LeBron James.
Why?
LeBron James.
Do you know why?
Why?
I say why because it touches all races. And I remember years back when I would listen to Tupac with my brother, and my mom would listen. And I always kind of listen to stuff. When she listens to it, you know, when older generations gravitate to it, it's like, what? It's like, how you know those lyrics, whatever. And she said, oh, wow, wait till the little white kids hear this. Went to work in the government, and the director of her department was like, have you heard of this, whatever? Such and so, Brad wants this CD. This is when CDs were out. And my mom was like, oh, yeah, my son just... And she said, oh, it's already starting. So when they start listening and coming home with the hat to the side and the gold chain, and now it's in their homes. So now it's made, you know, it's always been, but now once it's touched them, now it's touched the Asian kids and Asian. I've heard some Korean hip hop that had my head spinning. I'm like, is this Wu-Tang? They're like, no, it's a Korean artist. I'm like, shut up.
But the reason why
that's why it's so, you know what I mean? Because it's touched every single corner.
To connect these three things, right? The affluent black, the ghetto hip hop black, and the cop killings, right? I've always said, and he can back me up on this, my biggest rival is the affluent black, because they don't understand. They don't understand. I love the fact that you're educated and affluent. I love it, but the fact that you do not understand the value of this ghetto, right? I could be wrong, but when I check the statistics, it seems as if more of your kind are in these situations.
Right.
Right?
More.
But the more you get closer to the opportunity to stop this guy from hurting this guy, right? You run away from it, not understanding that this is what you need to embrace, because most of you, and also in their defense, this also hates them for striving in whatever they're striving. So it's just
because of the mindset. I think Common said it the best. I'm sorry. Common said, I think it was him, Ice Cube. It was like a whole group of artists, and they said, "This sounds great. That's cool, but you got to go to the hood. It's the mindset. You can't. Once you get in, you got to get into that mindset and understand why he does that or why she's that way."
I think we just have to learn to embrace each other. We are all going to be different regardless of what part of the world we're from, and I think that's our main problem. We're so caught up in the separation, we're so caught up in the jealousy aspect, rather than trying to actually pick each other's brain and just being together. We don't do that. Instead, we create jealousy, we hate the other person. Don't hate the other person for trying to do better with their life, because it's not their fault that you're not doing better with their life. But don't get there and then act as if you're better than the person that's not trying to do better. I think humility has to come with your position, and also doing for your community makes a difference.
Something.
In as much as you're up there, how much are you really controlling?
Can I say something? You know? Can I say something? I know I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in here, but I also have an issue with affluent black. One of the images that I always bring up is Farrakhan meeting up with Young Thug.
Big deal.
So I think it's important.
That was a big deal, bro.
I'm trying to tell you that. But you see, now, do you know? No, okay. I also want to add. No, but that was one of the biggest things for me, is that separation between the affluent black and just the difference in class. I forgot I was gonna say. You can go, because I forgot I was gonna say.
To piggyback on what you said, the reason when you showed me that video, I said that is probably the most important thing I've seen in maybe 10 years, because all that kid wants is a hug from that guy.
Wow. Okay. That's what I want to say. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. All that kid needs to boost is a hug from this guy, because this guy, if this guy does not hug this kid, this guy it has free access.
Right.
But when this gentleman like Farrakhan, who's respected by everybody, hugs this young guy who he knows what he's gonna go through. When you hug him, you give him a different perspective and a different responsibility.
Exactly. But this is the what I wanted to say. The monkey wrench I wanted to put in is, let's say I'm affluent black. I got the money, I got the resources. I actually want to come together with other people. Realistically, now I'm not saying it's guaranteed it's going to be this way every time. Realistically, if I want to reach back at home, let's say I'm from an impoverished neighborhood, I want to go back home. I want to give back. How practical is it for me to give back? I'm not saying I can give back, but as far as working with other people, even okay, let's start off with working with other affluent people to come together. Let's just say I'm not saying what's gonna happen, but I'm just saying I'm gonna ask y'all what would happen. What do you think would happen?
What do you do?
From my perspective, right? And we're gonna connect back to these guys who,
Yeah. But I'm just saying,
I want us to focus on us first,
because that's really you gotta get to the root. The only way you can do it is through the root.
My thing, and some call me crazy, but I always go back to the statistics and the economics of it. I mentioned something to you the other day about one building in Los Angeles, right? The gauge that we have of success: Floyd Mayweather, Beyonce, Jay-Z, LeBron James. One building in Los Angeles, California, right? If we said their finances need to cover a 50-unit apartment building in the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles, we're going to take away every insurance you can pay. We're going to take away everything. I want your finances to just cover this one building. Their money cannot cover it, right? Because if somebody falls in the morning and a lawsuit comes, the guy at number 3, I'm just painting a picture of our standard of the highest of us, right? You have to be a Beyonce to be able to cover just one building. And you can't even really cover it, right? The reason why I'm bringing these things up is because I work as a fire protection project manager, and I meet with property managers all the time. And I see a different kind of money that I'm like, God damn, this is a whole nother level, right? But if I were one of those people, right? I've said this before, Oprah Winfrey, with all the things going on in Chicago, if Oprah Winfrey shot 1 week in Chicago, number one, nobody's gonna do anything to Oprah in Chicago. Nobody the biggest criminal in Chicago will not do anything to Oprah. But her just existing there for a week, shooting a show of balloons or whatever, just your presence for a week changes the hearts of the people there.
Yeah.
Another thing is, I always go back to the economics. I think in order for us to save ourselves, I think blacks need to understand that needs and wants, right? We do not have the luxury of satisfying wants right now. Not a single black person. If we really mean what we say as far as saving ourselves, when I say this all the time, anything I'm joking. When I buy a house, it is not for me. If you need to sleep on the fridge, sleep on the fridge. I'm dead serious because
me too. That's
We can lay the fridge
I'm dead serious though because we do not
take
have
the drawers out, and
especially
just
in times of financial like in terms of financial desperation, we do not have the luxury of wants. So when I open my garage and I see things sitting in there that are worth about $15,000 over the years, I'm like, what am I doing? Because I know a lot of people are watching this like, what is he talking about? But tiny drops of water make a mighty ocean.
That's right.
You have to be willing to sacrifice something, you know? And another thing is truly intellect. The more I meet with Asians every day, I understand how valuable of a currency intellect is. So, as we said, if this kid, all he knows in Compton, California is hip-hop,
Yeah.
you need to understand that is the most important thing in his neighborhood.
Yeah.
Period. We cannot keep striving for doors that we're, number one, not let into. Number two, doors that we really are not, we're reaching for crowds we're really not ready to wear.
Yeah.
And it's just the truth.
I just think we need to, each person has to reach back. The other day I was at the gas station, and I don't scare that easy. And I'm getting ready to pump gas. I'm on Santa Monica in Vermont. And this young black boy literally comes out of nowhere. It's like midnight. But there's like other cars. It's pretty busy over there. And he comes like in my personal space. And I was like, oh, it's going down at the gas station. You know? But, because my initial was like, whoa, because, you know.
It's the truth.
Yeah, so I'm like at the thing and I see him. My peripheral was like keen, right? He's like, excuse me. And I was like, before you say what you have to say, I'm going to need you to move back. You know, I'm not going to assume that you're trying to do something to me, but let's just save each other's lives right now. And I'm going to need you to move back. I don't know what you're on, but I'm not going to just judge you. He was like, oh, sis, I'm sorry. I was like, no, what do you have to say? You know what I mean? He was like, oh, I caught him so far off guard. He didn't even know what he wanted. He was like, you really look nice today. He was like, you really look beautiful today. So then I said, well, thank you so much. And I knew he wanted to ask me, you know, something, or maybe he had bad intentions. I don't know. So I did not finish my gas pump. I didn't even start it. So I had my card in my hand. So then he commences to come behind me. I was like, see, you shouldn't do that. I was like, you need to come around the car. Mind you, between the car and the pump is about this much space. And I'm not the smallest person in that situation. He was like, oh no, I'm sorry. So he comes around and I'm looking at him like, what are you doing? You know? So then I said, what are you doing? He was like, I'm just really trying to get up the street and blah, blah, blah. He's like, you know, young. And when I say young, he couldn't have been more than maybe 20, like maybe. So I pumped my gas and I said, listen, so I pulled out some money. And I was like, sweetheart, you shouldn't do that. I was like, given the tone of where we are right now and just in general, like you shouldn't do that. Like that. And he went to the next car.
Can we go deeper though?
But the point is that I didn't judge him. I tried to have a real conversation.
Because the thing is, I know some people are going to watch this and call me Sambo, Uncle Tom Coon. I'm just being honest.
You're the president.
No. But the reason why we need to discuss this is because we have to, if it is marketing, right? If it is the negative marketing, the negative stereotypes, we need to be realistic with the fact that the presence of a black person changes things, right?
But we need to know that.
We need
like the younger gen. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, but the thing is, the problem solvers, right? The people who want to solve the problem, the hashtaggers, right? Who are mad at the situation, right? When they present the situation, they eliminate the fact that the presence of black changes things, right? So if you are a Hispanic lady and a black guy walks up to you like that, right? Again, it could be because of it is definitely because of the marketing of us, right? If that lady stabs that kid out of fear,
or like throws the gas on
it becomes racism, right? If she does it to someone of her own, it is, you know, she's protecting herself, whatever the case may be. But as soon as it is hashtag black, it is racism. And I know, you see what I'm saying? It's a plus and minus when you're presenting the story, because we need to be able to say, if my mom is walking on the street, just call it what it is, based on the marketing. My mom, you'll tell your son the same thing. Watch how you dress. You know, my mom used to tell me all the time when I was a kid, those white tees that you're wearing are going to get you in trouble. You know, so I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying we have to change our lives. But it is okay to be aware.
I think information is
exactly. It's important to be aware that this is, you know,
there always needs to be open conversation, and it also goes back because working with kids, working in the school, working at a middle school, and I'm about to start working at a high school now. These kids, you start to notice a difference in race. So the Mexican or Hispanic families, more than likely, most of the time, they just want to know if their kids are being respectful. And then when it comes to African American households, is what are y'all doing to my baby?
What he say to you?
So the reason why that's happening is because even when I was a kid, they try to put you on, well, I know why. They try to put you on Ritalin, they try to put you on all kinds of stuff. They want to say he's hyperactive, they want to put everybody, you know, so they want to label you, and you get treated differently. And I've witnessed students, even to this day, get treated differently. So it still does happen, which is the other dynamic to it. So it's a weird dynamic because students do get treated differently for being African American before they've done anything wrong. However, at the same time, it's not. Is it right for the mother to question that? See that the kid that's questioning the child that's doing something wrong in school. She's black though, but she's so worried because of the vicious cycle of them always getting that black.
Right.
So you see it in the school system. But the kid is doing the wrong thing.
Okay, now can I ask you, is he doing the wrong thing because he's a bad person, or is he doing the wrong thing because every time I turn on the TV,
boom,
tell me this is who I am?
So that's what I was gonna get at. The environment, and this is not every kid, but the environment that they're in, number one, it's not even, sometimes it's not even, like he says, not even the other kids. It's society. Think about when you were in school. What was cool? What was it cool to be like? How was it cool to do? How was it cool? What was the cool thing the tough thing to talk like? You know, so and sorry, I hate to say this. Now I'm kind of go off a little bit, but remember, a lot of the things that are attached to black, a lot of stereotypes that are attached to black that people like to attach themselves to are not positive. So these are some of the things that kind of pop up. But like I said, I understand when an African American mother is saying, "What are y'all doing to my baby?" Because they are doing things sometimes. They do treat you unfairly. But then some of these kids are bad.
Well, okay, let me
misbehave.
Right.
They're unruly.
Let me give you. I totally.
They're not bad, but they're unruly.
They're unruly. It's if they go to school and really act out. Having had this conversation,
and they're damaged. Some of them have issues. I just want to also say some of them have issues. Some of them have trauma and issues.
Yeah, for
sure. The reasons why they behave like that as well.
But having been that mother. Having been that child, my dad thought that every teacher wanted to do something to us in some way. You know, so he was like, they all wrong. But having been that mother, and my son was like in 2nd grade, 3rd grade, in the back. And, you know, it was a lot of black kids that didn't know their dads and stuff like that. And that's not his situation. And he said to me one day, "Mommy, why is it always the boys?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "They always tell the girls can be fast and say what they want." Mind you, he was in 3rd grade. I don't even think he was in 3rd grade. I want to say 2nd grade. And he said, "Why is it always the boys?" And I said, well, Isaiah, what, like, talk to me about it. You know, he's very verbal.
Yeah.
Well, we were sitting in, he's giving me the whole situation. And I need to know your story, because I told him, I said, Isaiah, no matter what, I will always support you in truth. If you wrong, whatever, but tell me what it is so mommy can fix it. So I was like, do your best to not be like Dion. And I pointed to the little boy. I said, you see what he's doing right now? I said, we don't do that. No, because it's true, Now, granted, when you sit next to Dion, and y'all sitting at the, and Dion go and push the girl, and you sitting there all innocent, y'all all in trouble. Because it's all about your friends. And now, wait a minute, what I told the teacher was, this is mine right here. If you have a problem, you can always call me. I will come to the school and just show up. Talk to the principal, same thing. So by the next year, the principal knew, oh, no, I know his mother. Just give her a call. You see what I'm saying? But I noticed how it was always, the girls could run crazy and be mouthy.
That's a whole nother subject.
But I'm just saying, to hear my second grader say to me, Mommy, why is it always the boys?
Trust.
And I'm like, oh, baby, I'm sorry. Because I was the girl doing bad stuff.
You want to add another layer?
Oh, God, no.
Why is it always the
black boys? Right.
It is the truth.
It's so true.
Because
can I shed some light? I'm gonna shed some light.
That's what really bothered me.
I'll shed some light on that. Well,
I know we'll connect it back.
Yeah, get back on.
What topic are we on?
I want to shed some light. I was going to shed some light on that. Kids, even as young as kindergartens, can sense mild racial tension.
Yeah.
So by 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade, they definitely can sense. I mean, they're very aware of racial tensions. By 8th grade, 7th grade, they're very aware of what's going on. They may not be able to articulate what's going on. They can sense the difference in the treatment. And you also have to remember that a lot of these young boys don't interact with adult, most of the time, Caucasian females. Not as much anymore, but there used to be a Caucasian females. And the only interaction they have is in a disciplinarian type of teacher, student type. So that's another dynamic you also want to. So there's also dynamics. So, it's not just the child's fault. I'm not saying that, but the society, it kind of plays a role in that, and they can sense it a little bit.
Sometimes the parents do play a role as well.
Oh, absolutely. We all know the other side. So I just want to put the other side.
I don't like how they automatically assume he did. And there was a lot of times he did.
Let me connect all this back to the police, right?
Please.
The reason why it's important for us to discuss this, right? Of course, we've gone to the foundation. Black has to be right. The reason why these are specifically important, though, is because these police officers or whoever is interrogating the black male, right? When you said, this one is mine, the respect changed, right? Yeah. The reason why these guys are easily targeted by the police is because our community does not say this is mine.
That's deep. We need to end on that. That's good.
It's just the truth.
It's real true. And it's so true.
Another thing is when you mentioned, when I asked you, is he acting up because that's who he is, or because he is aware he is being targeted as that's how he's going to react?
Both.
Right? The same thing sometimes. With all this constant reminding of this is how we treat you. 12 years a slave. Everything that reminds you this is your position, right? So when I wake up in the morning after watching TV, one black guy killed. Another black guy killed. Oh my God.
That's really crazy.
I walk outside as if this is what the world sees me as. Then I unplugged for 2 days. It kind of changed.
You got your power.
Right? It kind of changed, right? One thing that I definitely need to say, though, is after those two things happened, then unfortunately the Dallas happened. And I saw some of us celebrating. I don't know if you've ever played Clash of Clans.
That's the spirit.
Or if you've ever played Call of Duty. Or if you've ever played Ratio and Analytics. But if you think that is the smartest approach.
Oh my goodness.
Gee golly gosh.
I mean, because we go off the natural reaction.
I don't know if my natural reaction is anybody dying.
Depending, true, but not. I think when you're in that mode of, and that's a moment, and when you're enraged and you're, it's pulling certain things out. Yeah, it's like you're it's all coming out. For that, I don't think that way. I don't want
said something.
Especially how you see how it's disposable you are.
Show you how to move in the room from the vultures. Another thing my grandfather sometimes said, not all the time, but he said, checkers players sound smart to checkers players. And then the chess player speaks. And everyone's like, Now, I understand, trust me. I hope this is a trend that is going on a downward spiral. From what I see in the United States of America right now, I don't know if that's the case, because not only is there copycatting, but there is a joy in these bad news outlets just
see, that's the energy. All it takes is for something else to happen.
Yep.
In somewhere, in something. And I hate to say that, but this country is built on,
it's built on marketing negativity.
It's steering. It's just sensationalism. So it's like, oh, we gravitated. Now since we have all these outlets, it's like we can really amplify it and really get it going and really.
And someone said something as well. He said, this has been going on ever since, right? The only difference with the social media now is that all the bad news from everywhere is now put on your plate.
Yeah, but it's blatant though. It's some blatant.
Understood. The one that I saw that was like the live video of the lady and the guy in the
after the other
to
one.
me, that was like, I'm not gonna lie though. I know it might seem as if maybe I'm just a coward. I don't know. I can't watch these things though. And I don't know. I don't know if watching it. I don't know if watching it proves my love for black. No. I don't know if honestly.
I mean, it's sometimes good to watch it just to kind of have an understanding of exactly what's going on, but it can really be very like I was watching Sandra's video just today because I was watching the whole interaction with the cop. To me, that didn't even need to happen. It
sounded like me in the car. I was like, oh my god,
you know, she didn't do anything wrong at all. But this goes to the whole aspect of this white man's ego, thinking he has power, and she's black, and if she was white, it would not have happened that way. You know, but it's like sometimes you have to watch it to really see what's going on.
What can we do?
What can we do is us ourselves need to once again treat each other the way we want to be treated. If we don't treat each other the way we want to be treated, how can we expect others to respect us and treat us the way we want to be treated? How can we expect others to value our lives? So I'm going to take another spin to this. We need to stop destroying each other as well. It's not only the white man that's always killing us. We have each other killing each other too. So it's a lot of issues that we have to fix within our own community as well for things to change.
With the fact that we've discussed the fact that every time we try, it's attacked.
It's attacked. Yeah.
How can we do it so that no matter how many attacks come in, it doesn't really shake us?
The power, it's like the power of, we have to have a power of one mindset. You can't disagree with what the goal is, and you can't agree, and then you disagree. We all have to be on one roadmap. If we're not on one roadmap, it's never going to happen. And it's going to be very difficult for us because as things continue to happen, it's going to continue to create that tension. Okay, well, we try to do this, that didn't work. Now, why should I care?
I think, true, that in the perfect world that makes sense. But here I go back into my 60s again. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King had two different, totally different. At the same time,
but their goal,
that's my point. So you go to get to the same bottom line. It's what do we want? You know, how do we, feed our community? How do we not just feed our community food, but knowledge and information, and how do you, report certain things that happen? And I don't know, I've watched movies, but I've actually studied the civil rights movement and how they said, okay, there's a newspaper that we started, it's 55 cents or whatever, how much it was then. If something happened to you, you need to report it to such and so, and it goes here, and then it starts in the Chitlin circuit, which is how that started. You see what I'm saying? So then it's, okay, well, such and so had an incident down in such and so, and then we need him to go here, while Malcolm X was like, by any means necessary, and then he had to, all of that kind of, bare bones, like, let's do it that way. But the leaders had to come together.
Because if we were going to take Malcolm X's approach, from my perspective, there's probably no way we're going to win.
I know, I was just saying, like, the extremity of it, just to piggyback off what you said. So I just think if as a whole we want, if as a whole of a community, and I think every single African American person I know, we talk about community. Community starts with you. this is our community, who we are, who we live with and breathe with every single day. It starts with that community. You see that same homeless lady on the street. You see the same people in, you know, whatever the corners of the world. Create your community, which creates a community, which has us come together. And those who play the leadership parts, like I'm the voice. Okay, I'm a voice. I'm actually more of a reporter. I'm more of a, you know, sergeant at arms. I'm the one that's the financier, whatever. So all those different, that's how we did in villages. It's like you do this, you do this, you do this well, you do this well. This is your community within that, instead of me solitary by myself. It's, no, let me take my brother, let me take my sister. You know what I mean? And like that. So I feel like if we can kind of, within, and it's enough of us, and it's enough problems within our communities to build and create that foundation, because without a foundation, we don't have anything.
I know I'm going to sound very pessimistic, but I just feel what I think would be needed to do it, going off of what other people have done and other groups have done to do what I think we can do at least, would take us not to be as damaged as we are. Because we would have to communicate in such that there's no slate, because there's another dynamic that we're not discussing. We also have a slate when we look at each other as black people. So we also need to take away the negative states the negative stereotypes that we see of each other before we can begin to come together. Now, when you talk about other cultures, they're unified by languages and religion and things like that.
Culture,
Like I said, it's beautiful that we're not a monolith, but this is when certain things start to come into play, because what brings us together is suffering, and is what brings us together.
United we fall, divided we stand. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, for real. So what is it that brings us together? Could it be we tried Ebonics? Something. What is it that brings?
I'm not even going to talk about the fact that to me, I've said it 100 times, Ebonics, Pidgin are our languages, but we keep saying no.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave it at that.
The thing is,
I have the book.
we can't use
dictionary.
we don't use the same language. That's the problem too. It's, you know, if you look at the Spanish people, they are from different places, but they have that one language they can all communicate in.
Right.
That's not the same for black people, and I think that creates another problem as well. And then we start looking at each other. Well, you from here and I'm from there, and you different. Some people don't even claim to be certain types of black. So it's like we just have to change our mentality.
I'm gonna sound really stupid
it's
right
like,
now, but after all these things started coming to the forefront, I posted a picture of a ton of Buddhist men at a temple,
that was dope.
just sitting, just sitting,
It was
right?
so powerful.
Like, and the reason why I posted that is because honestly, as a black man watching the news, it almost feels like now I just don't mind roaming as a spirit. Because I'm just going to be real. I'm just going to be honest. Because everything attached to my understanding and my belief of myself can easily be stripped away by somebody who's having a bad day who's trying to prove a point.
Exactly.
So the best thing I can do is use the energy I believe I have to give good energy out. No matter who, but it is specific. It's important for me to understand why black is an important community for me to focus on, because it's all I got. There's nothing. I was talking to a friend of mine who is, he's dating a girl outside of his race. He lives in a city that is prominently white, right? He's a successful black man. We were talking and he says, the older I get, it seems like I'm starting to miss my people. And I was like, yo, you roll your eyes.
No, because I've heard that a lot.
But it's true though. You will not understand. When I'm talking to him, I understand exactly what he means.
I've heard this a lot.
Because we had an episode where we said you have to get away from black people to become successful. I'm not going to go too deep into that.
Right, no.
Lord knows why he went. Love is why he went to the lady he went to. But I felt him when he said that, because I understand, right? Charity begins at home. Self-value, self-worth begins at home. So I like this discussion because I like that this discussion was kind of focused on us. Because, to be quite honest, I have a hard time giving power to the oppressor. Because if I keep saying somebody's looking at me, I am not focused on myself.
I think the important thing is a good balance.
Mm-hmm.
We need to address the
elephant in the room.
We have to talk about that because if we don't talk, that's a huge part of it. That's why we're in the situation to begin with. But we also need the accountability factor that I always say: accountability. Where can we, as people, take accountability for our actions? Come together. We see what's happening. What are we going to do about it? What can we do about it? I know there's not a lot of things we can do about it. I know it's not going to be easy. I know it's going to be a lot, easier said than done. But we have to.
Sorry, I believe in energy a lot. I'm sorry. We discuss this a lot. If before we were able to revolt, right? We were able to plan things in secret and revolt.
Yeah.
I don't know if in the internet age that is possible at all.
No, there's no way.
Because everything is trackable. The only thing I can think of, it sounds very cliche. And please chime in. The only thing I can really think of, because on one side of things, I log on to Facebook and all I keep seeing is the bad that's happening to black. I don't even go to Yahoo anymore because the first thing is always going to be negative. My girlfriend talks, she gets mad at me all the time, but I literally took a pen and a pad, turned on the news, and made a T-chart of negative and positive news. I'm not joking.
That's
from
why I don't watch
10
news
to
that
11,
much.
from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. On this T-chart, it was about 25 bad stories and like 6 good stories. And even those good stories were like, a beautiful squirrel fell and died. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Like,
so,
the dog.
you know what I'm saying?
It wasn't that hot today.
But your car melted, kind of. Things like that. So,
Crazy.
To me, all I can do is not ignore what is going on, but in order for me to help positively, I have to have good energy. I have to play Pokemon Go.
Oh my God.
Do not.
Really?
Do not. Pokeball.
The reason why I'm saying this is because there are beautiful things going on.
For sure.
With great people amongst white and black, Asian and Mexican. There are beautiful things going on.
Yeah.
And we cannot keep feeding this beast that wants to be fed.
Look, as a black man, I know it's going to sound very wrong and controversial. As a black man in America, Nigerian American, whatever, there are a lot of great things, like they said, that are going on in the world. We can also be focusing our energy on those things as well. A lot of the time that we spend focusing on the negative things, we can use just even equal time spending talking about, the
They did something called Something Break, like Comedy Break.
What?
After all,
I saw that. Yeah,
after all the negative news,
it was like some
then
weird.
there was a trend about Comedy Break. Just start sharing funny things.
Yeah.
It's like
because I don't know. I feel like these days. Dang, I forgot what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
Good things are happening as well.
Yeah, no, I was saying good things. Good things are happening as well. I think we need to focus.
Let us know what you
Because
think
I get
as far as a resolution or what can be
like
done.
what are your thoughts?
Please, I'm not the greatest at this.
Yeah.
In conclusion, though, it's very unfortunate what's taking place. It's very unfortunate what I'm seeing on the news. God forbid, I have not seen anything that drastic in front of me yet. I'm hoping I never see that. But the fact that people are experiencing these things in this world that we live in right now, very unfortunate. It feels like Satan's playground right now. And we gotta be, you cannot let negative energy win. The yin and yang, when you look at that yin and yang, you understand that if you leave room for the negative to keep growing, it will keep growing. So the best you can do is just keep pushing out this good prana, baby. Right, as he says? You just gotta, you have to keep putting out this good energy. And another key thing that I'm going to say, maybe we can have this on another topic, I think the strength of the black community is intellect and wisdom. We need to capitalize. We need to work on intellect and wisdom. And I'll leave it at that.
The least we can do is strive to be the best that we can as people. And whatever that means, if that means finding a small community of your own to come together to start a business, at least let's start small. If try to be the best in whatever you do, and try to empower yourself financially, and encourage people around you to empower themselves financially. I think as a community, that's what we need. We need to, if we're talking about coming together, it's going to start with us trying the best that we can as individuals. When I hate to bring religion into it, but when I look at what's going on personally, to be quite honest with you, it's really saddening. And at moments I feel like it's what the Bible talks about. You know, it feels like it's about that time. At this moment in time, it's not just about being a black man, a white man, or whatever man, because from what I'm looking at, only thing you can hold on to is God or spirituality or whatever you believe in. That's the only thing that you got really at this point. So, because when it's all said and done, your religion, all your belief systems, I even know, even people in my belief systems, when it comes down to race and things like that, when it comes down to differences, you know, so we need to be aware of these things and just trust and believe that it's just going to be God, because a lot is to come, you know, and we need to be ready for that, mentally and spiritually ready for that. And we need to put in place things to help us to make it, to delay, at least delay it and make it better for us later on in the future for our kids and our grandkids.
I think, I agree, you know, I piggyback off of what everybody said today. I think we all need to use our talents, you know. They talk about talents in the Bible a lot, and a talent could be, we have several of them, you know, if you're gifted in this or gifted in that. But I feel like if you use your individual talent to make your community better, as a common thread, we become better, you know. Maybe not as fast as the negativity, but, you know, slow and steady wins the race at the end. And I really feel that if you take individually, you know, if it's that person on the corner, if it's that weirdo at the gas station, you know, if it's your child, if it's, you know, your niece, your nephew, whomever, whatever makes up your community. If you take, you know, what your talent is, if you cook, you know, I remember back in the day they talked about, you know, my grandmother says often, like, the neighborhood would come to the house because she was cooking for 7 children, so she figured, you know, what's 5 more kids? So all of, you know, all the people who were selling or doing numbers back then or whatever they were doing came to the house and they got something to eat. You understand what I'm saying? And she gave them shoes or whatever. So I feel like if we can get back to things like that, that will make us better. Reach the lowest person that you can think of that you see every day. If you can reach that individual, black, white, or indifferent, but I say start at home, as he said, charity starts at home, then you have a sense of, oh, okay, you know, positivity because I reached this person today, or, you know, whatever. So I think if we unplug, and I do this often, just unplug. When you unplug something, it's off. Because you can hear stuff better, you can live freer, and then plug back in. But if you detach yourself from negative energy, then you get your own positive energy, you know, and then you're able to go out in the world and be productive and use your talents. So I really feel like it's an individual thing. It's a reason why it's each person. We all have different powers and different, you know, different things within us. So I feel like if we can use that, you know, we can make our communities better, period.
Well, I think that, of course, change starts with us. I think we have to learn to appreciate each other more. I think we have to learn to appreciate each other's differences. We all don't come from the same culture. We all don't speak the same languages. We don't eat the same food. But at the end of the day, our rhythm and our soul kind of relates. And our color is one thing that we can all relate to. So with that being said, I think we need to stop the separation mentality. I think we need to stay away from that. And the moment we stay away from that, the better things will start changing. We need to stop the whole divide aspect of our community. And at the end of the day, if we don't unite, black lives will never matter in this country. It has to, we have to do the work. Is it going to be easy? No. Are we going to have to go through some bumps? Absolutely. Is it going to get tougher as we try to push through? Yes. But look at what MLK did. Look at what Rosa Parks did. Look at all these other people in terms of, they laid their lives on the line. So it's going to take some sort of risk for us to overcome what we're going through. And we also have to learn to stay away from the negativity that they're feeding into our community. And just because negativity is being marketed doesn't mean that you as the black man or you as the black woman have to go out and act that way. It has got nothing to do with your character. What you can do is actually educate people out there that every black person does not act that way. The stereotypes are always going to exist. People are always going to have that mentality of what black people is, which is anything negative. So the only way that can change is us also limiting the negativity that's happening in our community. We also need to stop hurting each other. We also need to stop killing each other. We need to look out for each other more often rather than destroying each other. So all those things need to be in place. All those things need to start happening. Black lives do matter. If it doesn't, I don't know when it's going to, but I hope that change happens.
It will.
Yeah.
I pray for it.
Please,
Each one reach one.
Anything that you feel like we left out, let us know.
Please.
Critique, criticize, whatever. That's fine. We all want to learn as well.
And no negative feedback.
Cheers.
Right.
Please.
Keep your negative feedback.
I'll